Hello, my lovely friends. I'm Sarah, and today I want to have a heart-to-heart chat with you about something many of us face when learning English. It's that awkward moment when you're trying to speak, but the words feel stuck. Your brain knows what you want to say, but your mouth doesn't cooperate. Sound familiar? I've met countless learners who can read and write well, but when it comes to speaking, everything falls apart. Their words come out slow, hesitant, and sometimes robotic. It's not that they don't know English, it's that they're afraid of sounding silly, afraid of making mistakes, and because of that, they force their speech. But here's the truth. Forcing words makes it worse. It reminds me of a student I once taught named Lena. She was brilliant in written English but avoided conversations like the plague. One day I asked her why, and she said, "Because I sound like a broken machine." That hit me hard. No learner should feel that way. Here's the thing. English isn't just words. It's a living, breathing way to connect with people. It's not about perfection. It's about connection. And today, we're going to talk about how to make that connection real. No stress, no pressure. In this video, we're going to change that. We'll go deep into the art of speaking naturally. No textbooks, no pressure, just you, me, and some honest conversation. I'll share stories, real experiences, and simple tips that made a difference for me and my students. By the end, you'll not only understand English better, you'll feel confident using it. We'll talk about how I went from awkward shop assistant to fluent speaker, how mistakes turned into funny memories, and how you can start feeling confident just by changing the way you think. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's begin your journey to speaking English effortlessly. Whether you're a beginner or advanced learner, this is for you. This is your time. Let's speak English the way it's meant to be spoken. Naturally, confidently, and joyfully. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let me take you back to when I was just 19 years old. I had recently taken a job at a charming little bookshop in Brighton, one of those quiet, cozy places filled with the scent of old novels and warm coffee. It was my dream part-time job. Perfect for someone like me who adored books and peaceful corners. But there was one tiny problem. I had to talk to people in English. Now, I wasn't a beginner. I had studied English in school. I could write essays, read novels, and I even understood the evening news. But speaking? That was a whole different game. The very first time a customer approached me and asked, "Excuse me, do you have the latest James Patterson novel?" My mind completely froze. I stared at him for a moment. I knew the words in my head, but they wouldn't come out. Instead, I muttered, "Yes, wait. Please wait. Book. Yes." It was painful. He smiled kindly, but I could tell he was a bit confused. I found the book, gave it to him, and he thanked me. But inside I felt crushed. That night, I went home and lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. I wasn't upset because I didn't know the answer. I was upset because I couldn't say it naturally. I sounded stiff and unsure, like I was trying too hard. This didn't just happen once. Every time I had to speak English, my mind would go blank. I'd overthink, second-guess myself, and stumble through the conversation. People were patient, but I wasn't patient with myself. What hurt the most was that I loved the English language. I didn't want to just get by. I wanted to express myself fully, to connect, to feel understood. But every conversation felt like a test I was failing. I started avoiding conversations altogether. I'd hide behind shelves when customers looked like they needed help. I'd pretend to be busy arranging books. My confidence was low and my fear of sounding strange was growing. Then, one day, something small but powerful happened. A little girl walked into the shop with her mom. She was maybe 7 years old, wearing a bright yellow raincoat and holding a stuffed penguin. She looked up at me and said, "Do you have books about space?" Her voice was soft, but her eyes were curious. And for some reason, I didn't panic. I smiled and said, "Yes, we do. Follow me, I'll show you." It wasn't perfect. My voice trembled a bit, but it was natural. It was human. And that small exchange gave me a glimmer of hope. I realized something important that day. Speaking isn't about sounding perfect. It's about connecting. That little girl wasn't judging my grammar. She just wanted a book about space. From that day on, I made a promise to myself. I would stop hiding. I would stop forcing words. I would find a way to speak naturally, with confidence and joy. And if I could do that, so can you. Before we move forward, we need to understand why speaking feels so forced in the first place. It's not just about shyness or lack of practice. It's about what's happening inside your mind the moment you try to speak. One of the biggest reasons is translation. Most learners think in their native language and then try to turn those thoughts into English. But English doesn't always follow the same patterns. By the time you translate a sentence, the conversation has already moved on. That delay makes your speech sound unnatural. Next is the fear of mistakes. This one is huge. You hesitate, not because you don't know what to say, but because you're scared to say it wrong. So you pause, rethink, rephrase, and suddenly your smooth thought turns into a broken sentence. The fear creates pressure, and pressure makes you sound robotic. Another reason is lack of exposure to natural English. If you've only learned from textbooks or formal lessons, you might be using overly correct or stiff phrases. You say things like, "I do not know," instead of "I don't know." You avoid contractions. You try to speak like a grammar book. But native speakers don't talk like that in everyday life. Let's not forget vocabulary. When your vocabulary is limited, you end up searching for words mid-sentence. That creates awkward pauses. Or worse, you use a word that doesn't quite fit. That throws off the rhythm, and again, your speech feels forced. And then there's the issue of confidence. When you don't feel confident, it shows in your voice. You speak softer. You use shorter sentences. You look down or avoid eye contact. The message you're sending isn't just in your words, it's in your entire presence. So what happens when all of these problems mix together? You speak with hesitation. You sound unsure, even if you're not. You force your way through the sentence like someone walking through a tight tunnel. But here's the good news. Once you understand these reasons, you can fix them. You can train your brain to think in English. You can practice speaking without fear. You can learn real, natural conversation styles. And most importantly, you can learn to trust yourself. Because natural speech isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. And real people make mistakes. Real people pause. Real people laugh when they say something silly. So let's stop trying to sound perfect. Let's start sounding human. It happened on a chilly Saturday morning. I was sitting alone in a cozy little cafe tucked away in the back streets of Cambridge. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, and gentle jazz music played in the background. I had just finished writing in my journal when I overheard a woman chatting with the barista. She had the most natural flow. Her English wasn't overly fancy or perfect, but it was so smooth. She laughed comfortably, used fillers like "you know" and "I guess," and shifted tones depending on what she was saying. Her words danced with ease. It was the kind of fluency I dreamed of having. Curious and slightly nervous, I walked over after she sat down at a nearby table. "Excuse me?" I said softly. I couldn't help but notice how easily you speak. I'm learning English, and I always feel like I'm forcing my words. How did you get so natural at it? She looked up, surprised but friendly. Oh, thank you. That's kind of you to say. Honestly, I stopped trying to be perfect. I just started speaking. Like, really speaking, not performing. That simple reply opened my eyes. I had been treating English conversations like rehearsals. I thought I needed to be ready, polished, flawless. But here she was, speaking freely, mistakes and all, and sounding wonderful. We talked for about 20 minutes. Her name was Alice, and she was from Belgium. English was her second language, too. She told me that the biggest change came when she gave herself permission to speak like herself. She didn't focus on grammar. She focused on connection. Try this, she said. Next time you talk to someone, imagine you're just chatting with a friend. Forget the rules for a moment. Just share what's in your mind. That advice stayed with me. Later that week, I tried it. At the bakery near my flat, I greeted the woman at the counter. Normally, I'd rehearse in my head, "Good morning, may I please have a loaf of sourdough bread?" But this time, I just said, "Hi, could I get that sourdough one, please?" She smiled back, handed it over, and said, "Lovely choice." It was a tiny exchange, but it felt huge. My words flowed. I didn't stutter. I didn't freeze. And best of all, I felt like me. That one conversation with Alice helped me shift my entire approach. I stopped scripting everything. I began to relax. I allowed myself to sound casual. The difference was immediate. My coworkers noticed I was speaking more. My friends said I sounded more confident. But the best part? I felt more confident. And it all started with that one coffee shop chat. So if you're feeling stuck, like your words are trapped inside, maybe what you need isn't more grammar books. Maybe you just need one good, honest conversation. One moment that makes you realize you already have the words. You just have to let them out. And maybe today this video can be that moment for you. Let's talk about one of the most powerful changes you can make in your journey to natural English. Thinking in English. Now, you might be wondering, how can I think in a language I'm still learning? That sounds difficult, but trust me, it's not only possible, it's essential if you want to speak smoothly. When you think in your native language and then translate into English, your brain has to work twice as hard. It's like trying to run a race while carrying heavy shopping bags. You're already tired before you even start speaking. But when you think in English, your thoughts and words move together. There's no delay, no filter, no stress. That's how native speakers do it, and you can too. Let me tell you how I started. Every morning, I'd wake up and narrate my routine in English. I'd say in my head, "I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm making coffee. Should I wear my red jumper or the blue one today?" It felt silly at first, but within a week I noticed something incredible. I wasn't translating anymore. I was just thinking. If you're not sure how to begin, start small. Choose 5 objects around you and say their names in English. Lamp, chair, phone, window, book. Then try forming simple sentences. The lamp is on. My phone is charging. Next, move on to describing your actions. I'm cutting vegetables. I'm walking to the bus stop. You can even try pretending you're teaching someone else. Talk to yourself like a guide. This is how I cook rice. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Your brain begins to prefer English. You'll notice you stop pausing mid-sentence. You'll reach for words more quickly, and best of all, your confidence will rise. A friend of mine, Junaid, tried this method. He set a timer every evening and thought only in English for 10 minutes. After 3 weeks, he said it felt like his mouth and mind were finally working as a team. Remember, you don't need big words. Keep it simple. You're not writing a novel, you're just practicing your voice. Here's a fun idea. Record yourself talking about your day in English. Just 1 minute. Then listen back the next day and notice your improvement. This builds awareness and fluency. The key is consistency. Even 5 minutes a day can make a massive difference. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Speak out loud when you're cooking, driving, or walking alone. Every word you think in English prepares you to speak naturally. So go on, give your brain a gift. Start thinking in English today and watch how your speech begins to flow. If you want to sound natural in English, you need to sound like the people who speak it every day. That doesn't mean imitating their accent or copying every word, but it does mean paying attention to how they talk. Let's be honest. Textbook English is not how people speak on the streets, in coffee shops, or at work. You won't hear many native speakers saying, "I do not know the answer to your question." Instead, you'll hear, "I don't know," or "Not sure, really." So how do we move from stiff, formal English to relaxed, confident conversation? Let's break it down. 1. Use contractions. Native speakers love contractions. They don't say, "I am going." They say, "I'm going." Practice using I'm, you're, we're, don't, can't, won't. They've, I'd, she'd. Contractions help your English sound smoother and more friendly. 2. Rhythm and music. English has rhythm. Some words are stressed, others are soft. Native speakers dance through sentences. Try copying their rhythm by shadowing real conversations. Listen to TV shows, YouTube vloggers, podcasts. Pause, repeat, and mimic not just the words, but the feel. 3. Use everyday phrases. Learn the kind of language people use in real life. "No worries. That's all right. What are you up to?" You don't need big vocabulary. You need real vocabulary. 4. Add personality. Native speakers don't speak perfectly. They speak with emotion. Use fillers like, "Well, you know." I mean, these make you sound relaxed and engaged. 5. Drop the grammar obsession. It's okay to be a little messy. Say, "gonna" instead of "going to," or "wanna" instead of "want to." You're not writing an essay, you're having a chat. 6. Practice real dialogues. Don't just learn words, use them in a conversation. Grab a partner or talk to yourself. You, "Hey, you free later?" Friend, "Yeah, what's up?" You, "Wanna grab coffee?" Short, simple, and local. Final tip. Don't force yourself to sound like someone else. Learn the patterns, yes, but let your own voice shine through. Speak the way you would, just in English. Let me tell you about the most embarrassing mistake I've ever made while speaking English, and how it changed my life. It happened at a networking event during my first year of university. I had finally started to feel more confident with English. I'd been practicing, thinking in English daily, and even recording myself. I felt ready. The room was filled with students and professionals. Everyone was chatting, laughing, exchanging ideas. I was nervous but determined. I told myself, "Just relax, be yourself, speak naturally." Eventually, I joined a group conversation. They were talking about internships. When it was my turn to speak, I meant to say, "That sounds like a great opportunity." But instead, I said loud and proud, "That sounds like a great octopus." Yes, octopus. There was a silence. One guy blinked. Another tilted his head. Then someone started giggling, and then the whole group burst into laughter. Not mean laughter, just surprised. Can't believe you just said that laughter. My face turned red. I wanted to disappear. I had worked so hard to speak confidently, and now I had compared an internship to a sea creature. I had two choices: panic and leave, or stay, laugh, and own it. So I smiled and said, well, I suppose it could be a slippery situation. Everyone laughed louder, but this time it felt good. That was the moment I realized a mistake doesn't ruin you, it connects you. From then on, I stopped being afraid of sounding silly. I told that story in every class I taught. It made others feel brave enough to share their stories too. Your mistakes aren't the end of your English. They're the beginning of your fluency. So go on, make a few octopus moments, laugh, grow, keep speaking. You'll be surprised how confident you become. Let's face it, practice makes progress. But the way you practice matters just as much as how often you do it. If you're practicing with fear, pressure, and perfectionism, you'll stay stuck. But if you practice freely, with curiosity and joy, you'll start speaking more naturally without even noticing the change. The most powerful thing I ever learned as a language learner was this: it's better to speak badly every day than to speak perfectly once a month. Let me tell you a little story. By the end of the month, Amir stood up in class and gave a short talk about his weekend. It wasn't perfect, but it was confident, clear, and smooth. We all clapped. So what's the secret here? 1. Speak every day, even if you're alone. You don't need a partner to practice. Speak out loud to yourself while walking, cooking, or getting ready. Pretend you're on the phone. Talk about what you see or what you're doing. Example, I'm making pasta now. I need more salt. Oh, where's the spoon? It's simple, but it trains your mouth and mind to work in English. 2. Use the mirror method. Stand in front of a mirror, look into your eyes, and speak. Talk about your day. Talk about your plans. Describe what you see in the reflection. Notice your expressions. Are you relaxed? Are you smiling? This builds confidence and helps you sound more natural. 3. Record yourself. Pick a topic. Set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes. Press record and start talking. Don't stop to fix mistakes. Don't worry about sounding clever. Just speak. Then listen back. Notice how many fillers you used, like, where you paused, what sounded strong. Keep the good. Improve the rest. 4. Try the 3-2-1 technique. Choose a topic, let's say my last holiday, and speak for 3 minutes. Take a short break. Speak again for 2 minutes, a little faster. Break again? Then speak for 1 minute, even faster. This method pushes your fluency and helps you speak with more energy. 5. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for connection. When you practice, focus on expressing your thoughts clearly, not on avoiding mistakes. If you forget a word, use a different one. If you say something wrong, laugh and keep going. Mistakes are part of the process. Each one teaches you something new. 6. Build a habit. Make speaking part of your daily routine. Speak in the shower. Speak during your commute. Speak before bed. Even 5 minutes a day can build amazing fluency over time. 7. Celebrate small wins. Did you speak for a whole minute today without freezing? Brilliant. Did you make someone laugh in English? Amazing. Did you try a new phrase even if it sounded weird? You're growing. Reward yourself. Keep going. Final thought. Fear blocks fluency, but daily, fearless practice builds confidence. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. Speak a little every day, without pressure. Talk like no one is judging. Talk like you're already fluent. Because one day soon, you will be. Chapter 8. Storytelling for Fluency, 800 Words. If there's one skill that makes English feel natural, alive, and flowing, it's storytelling. Think about it. When you meet someone new, what do they usually ask? What did you do today? What happened next? Tell me about it. And that's what storytelling is. It's not about writing a novel. It's about sharing real moments from your life, your thoughts, your experiences, naturally. When you tell a story, you stop thinking in short, broken sentences. You stop over-focusing on grammar. You start speaking in full, emotional, real thoughts. Let me explain how this works. Why storytelling works. Stories give your brain a map. Instead of jumping from word to word, you follow a timeline. What happened first? Well, then what? And what was the result? This flow makes your speaking smoother. It also helps your listeners stay engaged. And here's a bonus. When you share a personal story, you connect emotionally. That's what makes people listen. The 4-part story formula. Use this simple structure. 1. Start with the situation. Where were you? What was happening? 2. Add the problem or twist. What went wrong or surprised you? 3. Explain your reaction. How did you feel? What did you do? 4. End with a result. What happened next or what did you learn? Here's a short example. Last weekend, I went to the market to buy some fruit. Everything was going fine until I realized I had forgotten my wallet. I felt so embarrassed. I had to put all the fruit back. Luckily, the shopkeeper just laughed and said, "Happens to the best of us." It made my whole day better. See, it's simple, but it sounds real, and more importantly, it flows. Practice activities. 1. Tell your day as a story. Instead of saying, "I woke up, I ate, I worked," tell it like a mini story. Try. This morning started with my alarm not going off, so I jumped out of bed in a panic. I skipped breakfast and rushed out. But then, on the way, I saw the most beautiful sunrise. Suddenly, my bad morning didn't seem so bad. Add emotion. Add color. 2. Play the "What Happened Next" game. Start a story, then keep adding to it. I was walking home when I saw a dog running loose. The dog ran past me with someone's sandwich in its mouth. I started laughing and followed it until it ran into a park. This game makes you think fast and keeps your sentences flowing. 3. Use photos for inspiration. Look at an old photo on your phone. Tell the story behind it. Who's in it? Where were you? What happened that day? This helps you connect language with memory, making your storytelling more vivid. Real-life example. One of my students, Amina, hated speaking in class, but she loved telling stories in her native language, so I asked her to tell a story in English. She described the time she got lost in a new city. At first, she stumbled, but then she found her rhythm. Her eyes lit up, her hands moved. Her sentences became longer, fuller. By the end, we were all laughing. It was the most natural she had ever sounded. After that, she practiced by telling one story a day. After 2 months, her fluency had doubled. Final tip. Don't worry about being a great storyteller. Just be you. Speak with honesty, curiosity, and emotion. Your stories don't need to be big. Even a moment in the grocery store can become interesting when you tell it with feeling. So tonight, try this. Tell someone, or just your mirror, a story about something small that happened to you today. If there's one skill that makes English feel natural, alive, and flowing, It's storytelling. Think about it. When you meet someone new, what do they usually ask? What did you do today? What happened next? Tell me about it. And that's what storytelling is. It's not about writing a novel. It's about sharing real moments from your life, your thoughts, your experiences. Naturally, when you tell a story, you stop thinking in short, broken sentences. You stop over-focusing on grammar. You start speaking in full, emotional, real thoughts. Let me explain how this works. Why storytelling works. Stories give your brain a map. Instead of jumping from word to word, you follow a timeline. What happened first? Well, then what? And what was the result? This flow makes your speaking smoother. It also helps your listeners stay engaged. And here's a bonus. When you share a personal story, you connect emotionally. That's what makes people listen. The 4-part story formula. Use this simple structure. 1. Start with the situation. Where were you? What was happening? 2. Add the problem or twist. What went wrong or surprised you? 3. Explain your reaction. How did you feel? What did you do? 4. End with a result. What happened next or what did you learn? Here's a short example. Last weekend, I went to the market to buy some fruit. Everything was going fine until I realized I had forgotten my wallet. I felt so embarrassed. I had to put all the fruit back. Luckily, the shopkeeper just laughed and said, "Happens to the best of us." It made my whole day better. See, it's simple, but it sounds real, and more importantly, it flows. Practice activities. 1. Tell your day as a story. Instead of saying, "I woke up, I ate, I worked," tell it like a mini story. Try. This morning started with my alarm not going off, so I jumped out of bed in a panic. I skipped breakfast and rushed out. But then, on the way, I saw the most beautiful sunrise. Suddenly, my bad morning didn't seem so bad. Add emotion. Add color. 2. Play the what happened next game. Start a story, then keep adding to it. I was walking home when I saw a dog running loose. The dog ran past me with someone's sandwich in its mouth. I started laughing and followed it until it ran into a park. This game makes you think fast and keeps your sentences flowing. 3. Use photos for inspiration. Look at an old photo on your phone. Tell the story behind it. Who's in it? Where were you? What happened that day? This helps you connect language with memory, making your storytelling more vivid. Real-life example. One of my students, Amina, hated speaking in class, but she loved telling stories in her native language, so I asked her to tell a story in English. She described the time she got lost in a new city. At first, she stumbled, but then she found her rhythm. Her eyes lit up, her hands moved. Her sentences became longer, fuller. By the end, we were all laughing. It was the most natural she had ever sounded. After that, she practiced by telling one story a day. After 2 months, her fluency had doubled. Final tip. Don't worry about being a great storyteller. Just be you. Speak with honesty, curiosity, and emotion. Your stories don't need to be big. Even a moment in the grocery store can become interesting when you tell it with feeling. So tonight, try this. Tell someone, or just your mirror, a story about something small that happened to you today. Speak from the heart, let it flow. That's how fluency begins. Let me take you to a moment that truly changed how I saw myself as an English speaker. It was a Thursday evening, and I had been invited to a small networking event hosted by a friend. It wasn't fancy, just a casual gathering at a local co-working space. I almost didn't go. I felt tired. More honestly, I felt insecure. What if I couldn't keep up? What if I said something wrong? But something in me said, go. So I walked in, took a deep breath, and smiled at the first person I saw. His name was Daniel, and he worked in a design company. He asked me, so what do you do? Now, in the past, this would have made me freeze, but I remembered the advice I'd been giving my students. Keep it simple, be yourself. So I said, I help people speak English more naturally, not with grammar drills, but with real stories and real conversations. His eyes lit up. That's brilliant. You'd be perfect for our team. We're actually looking for someone like that. I blinked. Really? He nodded. We've got international clients. They're always nervous about presenting in English. You'd be amazing. We exchanged contacts. A week later, I was offered a freelance training job. And all because I said one honest sentence. That night reminded me, real conversations open real doors. Why real talk matters. When you stop thinking of English as a test and start treating it like a bridge, everything changes. You stop chasing the right answer and start focusing on connection. That's when people notice you. Not because of your vocabulary, but because of your energy. How to make conversations easier. 1. Ask simple questions. Conversations aren't speeches. They're a dance. Ask things like, what do you do? How was your weekend? Do you come here often? What do you like about your job? 2. Share something real. If someone asks how you are, don't just say fine. Try. I'm good, just a bit tired, busy week. Actually, I've been learning how to cook Thai food. It's harder than I thought. Be honest. Real answers invite real responses. 3. Don't be afraid of pauses. A short pause doesn't mean failure. It means you're thinking. Native speakers do it all the time. Use fillers if you need time. Well, let me think. That's a good question. 4. Let the conversation breathe. You don't have to fill every second with words. Sometimes, just listening, nodding, and reacting naturally shows confidence. 5. Use body language. Smile. Make eye contact. Use your hands. These small things say, I'm engaged, even before you speak. A story from my student. One of my students, May from China, once told me she feared real conversations the most. Not because of grammar, but because of pressure. We worked together for 2 months. She practiced small talk, storytelling, and shadowing dialogues from her favorite British TV shows. Then one day she told me, I made a friend on the train today. We talked for 30 minutes. That was her breakthrough, not in a classroom, not in a test, but in the real world. Final thought. Real conversations teach you more than any textbook. They teach you trust, rhythm, humor, emotion. They teach you that your English doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. So talk to people, ask questions, tell stories, laugh at mistakes. Because the more you speak, the more you grow. And sometimes, one simple sentence can change your life. Just like it did for me. A few years after I had gained my fluency and confidence, I met someone who reminded me so much of myself. His name was Alex. He was quiet, polite, and brilliant. But when it came to speaking English, he froze. We were working on the same project at a community learning center. One day during lunch, I heard him speaking very softly on the phone in English. He was searching for words, repeating himself, and using long pauses. It was like listening to the younger me all over again. Later, we sat down for tea, and I said, you know, I used to sound just like you. He looked surprised. Really? Yes, I said, and I remember the exact moment it changed. I shared my octopus story. He laughed, a real deep laugh. It broke the tension. We started talking more. I gave him some of the same advice I've shared with you in this video. Speak to yourself, tell stories, don't fear mistakes. He listened, not just politely, but deeply. He wanted to improve, not for exams or certificates, but because he wanted to be heard. We started practicing once a week. We'd go for a walk and talk only in English. No pressure, no correction, just talking. At first, his words came out slow and careful, but each week they flowed a little easier. He'd tell me about his day, his family, his memories from home. He even started making jokes. One day, after a few months, I invited him to co-host a small workshop with me. It was a casual event for young learners, and he hesitated. "I don't think I'm ready," he said. I looked him in the eyes and said, "You're more ready than you think, and you won't be alone." He took a deep breath and agreed. That day, in front of 20 people, Alex stood beside me and spoke about how storytelling helped him find his voice. He stumbled once or twice, but he kept going. People smiled. A few nodded. One woman even came up after and said, "I wish I could speak like you." He looked shocked. That was his turning point. From that moment on, Alex became a mentor for others. He started leading weekly conversation groups. He created a little YouTube channel to share language tips. He was no longer the shy learner. He was a guide. I watched his journey with so much pride. And it reminded me, this is how confidence spreads. One story, one chat. One little act of courage passed from person to person. You're not just learning to speak for yourself, you're learning so you can help others too. One day someone will hear you speak and say, "Wow, I want to speak like that." And you'll be the one who says, "You can, let me show you how." So here we are, at the end of this journey together. You've heard my struggles, my embarrassing stories, my small victories, and I've shared the real tools that helped me go from nervous speaker to natural communicator. If you take just one thing from this video, let it be this. Speaking naturally isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about connection. It's about being real. You already have everything you need. The words are inside you. You don't need to wait until you're perfect to speak. You just need to start. Start small. Start honest. Start today. Talk to yourself in English. Tell someone about your day. Smile at a stranger and ask a simple question. Try, fail, laugh, try again. This is your moment. Your voice is powerful. Don't hide it. Don't hold it back. Let it be messy. Let it be joyful. Let it be you. And remember, every confident speaker you admire once felt exactly how you do now. I believe in you. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this helped you, share it with someone else who needs a little courage. This is Sarah, your English friend, signing off. Keep speaking, keep growing, keep being brave, and never, ever stop being yourself.